Hi, Dr. Scott Beyer here, and in this video we're going to go over the really close association between the health of our gut and really how it's being researched, and they're finding more and more on how it can influence those with neurodegeneration. And in this specific video we're going to talk a little bit about Parkinson's. Now, neurodegenerative diseases are on the rise, including Parkinson's, and what they're finding is you may have some relative or some family member, or you may see someone at the mall, and you can kind of know who these people are because they're either hunched over, they're having a hard time moving, or they have like that classic Parkinsonian tremor, which is a resting tremor. And what they're finding is that even like 20 to 30 years even before those tremors develop, these individuals will actually have signs of gut dysfunction, more so constipation. Now, I want to make this crystal clear. Just because you have constipation doesn't mean that you're destined to get things like Parkinson's, okay? There's a lot of different reasons for constipations, but if you have a family history of Parkinson's, okay, like, if your grandmother had it, and your great-grandmother had it, and now all of a sudden in your 20s and 30s you're starting to get a little bit more constipation, might be something you want to look into. So what happens is that they think that things like gut dysbiosis, and what that means is that there's either not enough healthy gut bacteria or too much bad gut bacteria. But things like gut dysbiosis and something called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is really a topic for another time. But what they found is that individuals who have these types of things can really create a very harsh or inappropriate gastrointestinal environment. And they can destroy not only our gut cells, but when it comes to our gut, like surrounded over it, there's like this net-like nervous system called our enteric nervous system, okay? And how our brain communicates with our gut's nervous system, our enteric nervous system, is via this nerve called this vagus nerve. And what they're finding is individuals who have these types of things, gut cell destruction, they're seeing an increase in a certain amount of certain type of protein called alpha-synuclein. And alpha-synuclein is used for healthy, or we need right levels of it for proper neurotransmission. Okay, if it's too much, too high, that can mess a lot with neurotransmission. So when these neurons get destroyed, we see a little bit more of this alpha-synuclein. And what happens is that this alpha-synuclein will travel up the vagus nerve, okay, the nerve that connects our brain to our gut, and start spreading not only from the brain stem but to other areas in our brain, okay? Now, depending on which area it spreads to really can contribute to different types of symptoms. So firstly, if it spreads to this area of our brain that's kind of at the base of our brain called the entorhinal cortex, and when it spreads there and causes neuronal dysfunction there, that area is often associated with things like smell. So individuals might lose their sense of smell, but also some of our memory centers are there. So individuals who feel like they're losing their memory, or they can't recall past events or past dates, definitely this area is affected, okay? And in those with Parkinson's, perhaps the one single most area that's affected is in our midbrain, which is right here, and that's this area called our substantia nigra. Now, what's important about the substantia nigra is that these neurons contain a ton of this neurotransmitter called dopamine. And dopamine, it's a neurotransmitter that really excites or promotes brain function. It kind of turns our cortex on, okay? So when we lose our dopamine pools in our substantia nigra, what this equates to is like just a brain that works very, very slowly. So we'll see things like slowness of movement, okay, or slowness of thought, like it takes the individual a long time to remember certain things or say certain things, or it just takes a while for the gears to get going in the brain. But slowness of movement, slowness of thought is one of the things that dopamine does. Dopamine also is considered like a motivational neurotransmitter. So when we lose that, we can see changes not only in movement, but changes in like our behavior. So things like depression, or since dopamine is thought to play a role in motivation, individuals with low dopamine tend to kind of socially isolate themselves a little bit more than what they used to. Or they feel like they just don't want to go out and have fun with friends. They just are not motivated enough. But the other thing that it can cause is like a flat face. So individuals might seem a little bit more serious than they did before, okay? And then lastly, what develops last is the classic kind of resting tremor, okay? So even like 20 to 30 years before an individual gets tremors, we'll see things like gut dysfunction. So if you're an individual who is concerned, or if you have like a loved one, with Parkinson's, or a family history of Parkinson's or neurodegeneration, and you start to get a little bit of constipation, you may want to get that looked at by a functional medicine practitioner who's going to look at, not only structural lesions in your gut, but healthy levels of gut bacteria, try and balance that out before this protein can spread up into the vagus nerve and spread into the brain. So I hope you guys found this helpful. I'm Dr. Scott Beyer. If you wanted to learn a little bit more on gut health in general, you can visit 2 different places. One of them is our website, Brain and Body, the letter I, brainandbody.com. The other one is our Facebook page. We're constantly posting videos just meant to be informative. Like I said, I hope you guys learned a little bit. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below. I'm Dr. Scott Beyer. Have a wonderful day.